may have been brought there. Deep within the castle lay another chamber, Himmler's private vault, but when American soldiers captured Wewelsburg in 1945, they found it empty, its contents unknown, and seemingly lost forever to history. One artifact might have been at Wewelsburg, an artifact of extraordinary power that could have unlocked the greatest obsession of all, the dream of the lost civilization of Atlantis, and of Atlantis reborn. Then, as dawn first glimmered, from the horizon rose a dark cloud, and Adad, the storm god, was raging within it. Then Nergal, god of plague and war, wrenched out the boat's mooring poles. Ninurta, god of the earth, made the dams overflow, and the Anunnaki, dread gods of the underworld, their torches brandished, shriveled the land with their flames. Desolation from Adad spread over the sky, and all that had been bright was turned into darkness. Like a bull he charged the land, he shattered the land like a vessel of clay. For a day the raging winds flattened the land, and then came the flood. Like a tide of war it swept over the people. A brother could not distinguish his brother. From heaven the people were not to be seen. For 6 days and 7 nights it raged, the wind, the storm, the flood. It flattened the land. On the 7th day the wind abated, the storm that had ravaged the land like a war. The sea was lulled, the gale was spent, the flood ended. I looked on the day, and all sound was stilled. All the people had turned to clay. All around me the waters were flat, like the roof of a house. Then I opened a hatchway in the boat, and on my cheek streamed the sunlight. I bowed down and wept, my cheeks overflowing with tears. I gazed into the distance, to the furthest bounds of the ocean, and saw land arising. On the mountain of Nisia the boat ran aground. The mountain of Nisia held the boat fast and would not release it. I brought an offering and made a sacrifice, and I poured a libation on the peak of the mountain. So it was that the gods took me and caused me to dwell in this place, at the ends of the earth. The words of Utnapishtim to Gilgamesh, from Tablet 11 of He Who Saw the Deep, the Babylonian version of the Epic of Gilgamesh, late 2nd millennium BC Akkadian, but derived from a story first written down in Sumerian in the 3rd millennium BC, and probably originating millennia earlier. Prologue. The Voyage of Utnapishtim. The man gripped the edge of the boat and squinted at the western horizon, trying to see past the blinding glare of the sun. Earlier he had sensed a flickering in the sky, a strange smell in the air, but he no longer knew whether it was real or a dream. He tensed his hands and heaved himself up, then leaned over the side and stared into the depths. His knuckles were raw and bleeding from sunburn and salt, but he no longer felt the pain. In the weeks since they had been marooned in this windless, weed-choked sea, he had taken to staring down, pulling his tattered leopard-skin cape over his head to shade the water, letting it form a cover that had stiffened with the salt. The sea was deep blue, and he could see far down to where blue became black. He glimpsed flashes of silver and sparkles of light. He knew that something was down there, shadowing them, a shape that lurked on the edge of the underworld. If only he could fix it with his eyes, then he would be able to draw on the power of its spirit. He had spent hours looking, days. Even his brother Enlil no longer called him by the nickname they had used as boys, Noah, but now addressed him, half-mockingly, by his shaman name, Utnapishtim, he who sees the deep. The others in his boat were too far gone to help him look. Only 4 of them now, paralyzed by thirst and hunger and fear. But he was their spirit traveller, their shaman. They might see the earthly form of the monster, but only he could touch its spirit. He picked up his obsidian knife and ran his thumb along the blade, feeling it cut into his skin. He remembered going with Enlil and their father, Ra Shamash, deep into the volcano to find the sacred black stone, and watching the old man make the rippled flat of the blade by pressing off tiny flakes with a piece of antler. Noah had a cache of blades here now, in a basket under the thwarts, but this knife made by his father was the most sacred. That had been the day their father had taken them for the first time to the spirit cave and given them their shaman names, and taught them to inscribe their names into the rock using the ancient symbols. Besides